Namaste yogis, welcome to BODHI. My name is Sesa, this is Camille, and we're gonna just be doing a 30-minute straight up yin class today due to popular demand. So I don't know what that was, but welcome. We're gonna drop in. So let's go ahead and we'll start off in Sukhasana, crisscross applesauce. So if you wanna sit on your bottom and cross in the middle of your shins, so when your knees flop out, your knees and your feet should pretty much stack, right? And if you look down at your legs, it creates a square shape. This is called square in yin. Make sure you do find your sit bones. You want your lower back to be neutral, the pelvis to be up, slightly having almost an anterior tilt, but nothing too dramatic. So let's do left shin in front of the right, just because we're gonna add in some upper body. And then as you're ready, you're gonna reach your arms forward, cross your right elbow underneath the left. You can just grab opposite shoulders. You could bring your forearms up and twist to the wrist, bringing your palms to meet. Whatever you choose to do, you're gonna then tuck your chin to your chest, let your head fall, pull the front ribs in, push your heart through that space between your shoulder blades. Try and get as round as you can. And once you can't get any more round, begin to go forward. Your right elbow should land on top of your left shin or out in front of it. And if your forearms don't lay on the mat like Camille's do, you could put a block, a pillow, stack of books underneath your forearms and let them just sit there. Your head can rest in the nest you've created with your arms. If you feel a little claustrophobic having your head straight folded, you could turn it off to the side in whatever direction is comfortable. It's usually in this position to your right, and then we're gonna do it in the opposite direction on the other side. So you will be able to even it out. But allow your sit bones to stay heavy. Close your eyes and just begin to check in with your breath. So there are different philosophies when it comes to yin and your breathing, right? You can control the breath, make it more mindful as you count every inhale, try and get it to be anywhere between 7 to 15 seconds long. And then even if your inhale is only 5 or 6 seconds long, just be sure your exhale is the same amount of time. And then maybe with every breath or every class, you try to take your breath up 1 second increments. So that is one way to practice. There are other teachers who merely say, become witness to your breath and begin to notice how the breath changes, whether it's from pose to pose, right? As the body takes on different shapes, your ability to breathe will be altered. But not only the shapes, but also from internal stresses, whether that is mental strain, the anxiousness of simply sitting still. Maybe it's emotional upheaval as you begin to experience different emotional feelings, maybe such as the need to cry. Sometimes people feel like they need to scream. You are in the privacy of your own home, so if you need to do that, by all means do it. Another way to get past that is to simply just let out an audible exhale. But generally, our breath is kind of directly tied to how we react to certain situations and circumstances. And so just becoming aware of that, how the breath changes and what is creating that change in your breath. Which way you take this throughout your practice is up to you. And there may be some poses that are more physically intense, where you need to count out the breath. Take those deeper inhales to help ease the stress on the body. And then there's other poses, even like this, where maybe it's a little bit more gentle. And you just want to begin to witness, watch, not to what's happening outside of you, but everything that's happening within you. So without changing anything, you're just going to gently untangle your arms and let the forearms run the length of your mat. Maybe you sink a little deeper as your body gets a little heavier, releasing the shoulders. And then I like to do it on an exhale, starting from the hook of your tailbone, coming forward. That's going to begin to pull your sacrum up, pull your belly in, and roll your spine up, vertebra by vertebra. You could use your hands to walk back if that helps, but let your head and your neck be very last to come. Keep your eyes closed. Maybe become aware of any energetic sensations that rush down the back of your neck and shoulders. It may feel like a summer breeze down the backside of your body. And then as you're ready, you can blink your eyes open. Plant your hands about a foot behind you, lean back, uncross your legs, and just take them wide. And then you'll let your knees fall right to left and left to right. And as you feel ready, you'll come back to center. You'll cross the right shin in front of the left. And remember, feet stay wide and forward with the knees. You can always sit up on a block if you need that help to release the sacrum out from underneath you. Lower back is tall. You'll reach your arms forward. Your left elbow this time crosses under the right, giving yourself a hug, finding your eagle's beak. But then wherever you're at, you'll tuck your chin, let your head fall. Knit the ribs in, pulling the front body back as if you were trying to push the whole front body through the back of your body. And then beginning to curl forward. It's not extending forward, it's literally curling into yourself. Your left elbow can land on top of your right calf, out in front of it. If having your head folding straight forward is claustrophobic or you just get crowded, you can turn your head to your left. And then just close your eyes. Notice your breath. And then use one of those techniques of either beginning to count your breath out or simply beginning to notice and become witness. So often we are caught up in so much commotion externally. It's what is called sensory overload almost, that the senses are constantly being inundated with information, and the mind then has to compute what is happening, what's going on, what you're seeing, smelling, touching, hearing. That very few and far between do we actually have these moments to sit and notice the turmoil within ourselves. Whether that turmoil is related to work, relationships, family, finances, school. Maybe it's a combination of multiple of those things. Is it something that we're presently dealing with, or is it something that has been sitting with us, like weights sitting on our shoulders? Like a ball and chain dragging behind us. The hips, the neck and shoulders tend to be two areas where we hold a lot of our emotional stress and traumas. Energetically, the body tends to get congested there. And so when we begin to create stimulation, this ability to open and release, it can be a lot. And sometimes we are faced with whatever it is we're going through in our life at the present moment. And then other times it's compounded with traumas and experiences that we've been through in the past that maybe we thought we had dealt with. But in reality, we just kind of moved on from it. We took the stance of just getting past it, pretending it never happened, instead of allowing ourselves to really just sit with whatever it was or is, and learning how to process, release, and then let go. So don't be surprised if you're ever practicing yin and old stuff comes up to the surface. And sometimes it's not even your own, right? As we all have people we care about, loved ones, or even if it's people we highly respect, oftentimes we can kind of carry the load of other people's junk. But then you simply have to remind yourself that no matter how much you would like to be able to solve people's problems, that ultimately it's up to each and every individual to put in the work, to sit with themselves and figure it out, to work through it, get past it. And obviously it's easier said than done, but that in itself is also a practice, learning to let go of other people's junk, because really each and every one of us has enough of our own. So again, without changing anything, you're just going to gently untangle your arms. Let the shoulders broaden and soften. Maybe you feel a rush of almost tingly sensation go down to the fingertips. And then on an exhale, by curling your tailbone forward, you're going to begin to roll your spine up. See if you can literally articulate it happening vertebra by vertebra. One vertebrae pulling the next one on top of itself. Until you're sitting upright, your eyes stay closed, you watch for any energetic movement, any sensations, any emotions, and then simply sit with them, breathe through them. And then when you're ready, you can take your hands behind you, uncross the feet, take them wide, and again, let your knees fall one side and then to the other. And then once you're ready, bringing your legs straight out in front of you, find your sit bones. So pulling the butt back rather than out to the sides. Pulling the butt back will help rock you to the front edge of your sit bones and neutralize the pelvis. You are going to bring your right leg, whether it's into Virasana, where the top of the foot, your heel is framing your glute, the top of the foot and shin are down. And you're going to open the knee as far away from your left knee as possible, or you'll bring it into a half butterfly like Camille is doing, where the heel is in line with your pubic bone. So whether you're in more a Virasana shape and a split or a butterfly shape and a split, you take your pick. Just be mindful of what you're feeling in your knee. If you're in a butterfly shape and that right knee is way up off the mat, you might use a pillow or a block underneath it. Now you're going to just take your right hand behind the right hip, cup the earth with the fingertips, left hand to the outer right knee, and you're going to twist towards the back of your mat. Closing the eyes, checking in with your breath. Now keeping the direction of your twist, just look to your front foot. You're going to take that left hand and cup the earth inside your left leg. Keep the right shoulder pulling to the back of your mat so the chest stays open. Begin to crawl your left hand down towards the inner ankle. Maybe you can bend your elbow, drop it inside your inner knee or shin. Lift the right shoulder up. And then take your right arm, reach up to the sky first, and then over your head, palm facing the earth. So you can remain a little bit more active, keeping some yang in this pose, reaching the right arm forward. If you're bendy enough to grab your toes, great. Or if you need to do less, I like to place my left elbow on top of my shin and then use that left hand to catch my head. If it's on the ground, great. You could always put it on a block as well. Now the right arm could still reach out, or you could just let it hang over the edge of your head. You'll find that stretch. And if that's not comfortable, maybe take the right hand to the back of your head and just lift the elbow up towards the ceiling. And it's a little bit more active again, but it adds that stretch from that right hip crease up to the tip of your elbow. And then just close your eyes. We're getting into a lateral flexion of the spine. Our spine is a very incredible part of the body in the sense that it actually has the movement to go in every direction, right? We did a forward fold. We do lots of back bending in yoga. We can twist almost on a swivel, right? But we can also do a flexion side to side. So it's important to get into all the different nooks and crannies and allow the spine to make the movements in all the natural forms to help build a strength, a moisture, and over time, a flexibility to the ligaments and the tissues that are connecting the spine to itself, the muscles to the spine. Yin is like that oil change, fine tuning. Getting all the little spaces between the muscles. Remember in moments of silence where I'm not distracting the mind, because really that's what it is something for the mind to glom onto. Just remember that those moments of silence are really there for your benefit. A place where you can actually begin to really notice what's happening inside the body and the mind. As you're ready, you're going to reach your right arm back up to the sky. And just like we did from our forward fold, from the bottom of your spine, imagine I was pulling you up by your right hand. You're going to begin to stack your spine sideways on top of itself. Use that left hand to lift your head up. And then once it's on top of its shoulders, you can release your arms down. Take your right hand underneath the right knee, wherever you're at. Lift it up. Bring it back to center. Put both hands underneath the thigh as you slowly straighten the leg. Then you can point and flex your foot. That'll help reset the knee. You could wiggle your patella around, whatever you need to do. And then let's take the same thing in the other side. So the left foot is either going to come into that virasana shape or a butterfly shape. And you hear it a lot in yoga to mirror your practice, which I'm all for, but also I understand it as a time and a place, right? Just because you can do virasana in one side doesn't mean you can do it in both. Some people have blown out ACLs, torn their meniscus in one knee, but not in the other. So just be aware of that. No sharp pains, sensations of pulling or tugging. Whatever variation you take, the knees are working away from each other. Both sit bones are down. Left hand will go behind your left hip, right hand to the outer knee as you lift the spine and you twist towards the back of your mat. Checking in with your breath. Now, keeping the direction of your twist, you'll just look to your right foot. Bring the right hand inside the leg, cup the earth. So you're keeping the length in the spine, because with length, we are able to flex the spine a bit more. Begin to crawl your hand down towards the inner ankle. Maybe the elbow drops to the mat inside the leg. Lift the tip of your left shoulder up, then reach your left arm up, and then take it over your head, palm facing the earth. So remember, you could stay in a more yang variation of this, and we're just going to sit for about 4 minutes. But because of the length of time we're here for, this can actually become a lot. The muscles in the neck, the shoulders start to stress and strain. So if you want it, that right elbow can sit on a block, the ground, your shin, just keep it away from the knee. You catch your head in your right palm. That top arm can stay as it is. If that begins to wear out your shoulder, let your arm dangle over the side of your head. If you want to place the left hand on the back of your head and lift the elbow up to the ceiling, that is also an option. But just remember to do something that you can sustain for the next 3 minutes. And then close your eyes. In yin, we're meant to be doing less physically speaking, not giving 100, 110% to find these deep, elaborate poses. We actually are meant to only do about 35, 45%, 50 at the most, but even that is on the extreme side. And then we just sit. We commit to that stillness. We dwell inside of it. And within that stillness, ultimately we're meant to find silence so that we can begin to listen to the internal dialogues that take place. And in yoga, eventually it's even meant to be beyond the dialogue of the mind. The dialogue of memories and emotions and experiences that come up. Eventually, the yogi's goal is to get past all the material distractions so that they can begin to sit with themselves, the soul, the spiritual, eternal being temporarily dwelling within the body, encapsulated within the mind. So that the soul can begin to put in the work. Right? Discovering who we are beyond the body, the mind, what our purpose is, why all of this exists, where we come from. Is there a God? Is there not a God? And if there is, what is your position amongst all of it? These are lifelong questions. They've been around for time immemorial, really. And each living entity ultimately has to ask these questions so that they can better themselves. Because if we always stay superficial and simply focus on the material realm, we are selling ourselves short. Last few breaths. Remember, without changing anything other than reaching your left arm up. Use that arm reaching up to begin to pull yourself up. That right hand can be used to lift your head up. Slowly stacking sideways, gently. Letting anything pass that may have come up with you. Left hand will go underneath the knee. You'll lift it up and bring it back to the front of your mat. Straightening out the legs slowly, pointing, flexing the foot. If you have a block, that is ideal. If not, firmer pillows. You're going to take it and place them underneath the shoulder blades. So with a block, it's about 6 to 8 inches behind your hips. I would say stick with medium. She's very bendy, so she can do the medium level. For most people, it'll be the shortest level. Then you'll place your hands behind you, gently work your shoulders over the block. So we're focusing on thoracic spine extension, letting your head fall back, and the crown of your head should rest on the earth. If it doesn't touch the ground, use a pillow, a towel, something to support it. Just a supported Matsyasana. Legs can be straight. You don't have to be active. Your arms don't have to be pressing. You can just simply melt over the block. If this is a lot, I find that bending the knees and having your feet flat on the floor helps. Closing the eyes and just allowing the edges of your body to melt over the sides of the block, to sink beneath the surface of the earth. So the goal is to not have to come up again, right? We're beginning our way into lying on the mat. So I just want you to bend your right knee, get your foot flat on the floor. You can reach your left arm over your head. And then pushing into your right foot, begin to gently roll onto your left side. Your head can land on your arm. You'll come off the block. Take your right hand down and behind you, removing your props. Once your props are out of the way, you'll roll onto your back. Hug the knees into the chest, kind of bring yourself back to center. Bring your forehead to meet your knees. Take one last deep inhale and hold this breath. Curl your toes, scrunch up your face. Feel anything beneath the surface bubble up like you're a balloon about to pop. And then let it all go. Sprawl open. Legs can go long, arms fall out and away from the sides of your body. The feet flop open. The shins and knees naturally will follow. As the fingertips soften, they naturally begin to curl. Allow the tops of your arms to weigh heavy against the back of your arms. Soften your jaw, let the tongue melt back towards the earth. Unfurrow the eyebrows and unsquint your eyes. Just taking the time to step away from the body and the mind. And ultimately setting yourself free, even if it is just for a few moments. So when you begin to dive into yogic philosophy, which is really a spiritual backbone that holds up the yoga system, everything we do in life is meant to be tied into our spiritual practice. It is meant to tie into redeveloping our natural relationship with our eternal soulmate, God, the Great Spirit, highest power, creator. Yet if you look at the world today, it's almost 180 degrees the opposite. And unfortunately, we do live in a very godless society. Or if people even have this grasping or an acceptance that there is a higher being behind all of everything, they take kind of the stance of, well, I'm going to wait. I need to get my life in order. I have to get the right job, make the right amount of money, take care of my family, and do all this stuff, and then I will try to build that connection. But the reality is, when we take that approach, it is a waste of time. Because this life gets full very quickly. Whereas if you can take that approach of doing everything in your life and offering it up as service, and allowing your life to become spiritually based, then the soul, you, that eternal being, begins to feel fulfilled. And your material life follows suit. So as you're ready, if you would like to, you can begin to wiggle your toes, your fingers. Roll out your ankles, your wrists. You could stretch your arms up and overhead, point through the toes. Rolling to the right hand side, your knees are bent. Use your right arm as a pillow. And then with your eyes still closed, you can walk yourself up to a comfortable seat. Whatever that is for your body at this time is up to you. Just resting your hands on your knees in your lap or bring them to heart center. Closing the eyes and sitting up tall. So we actually have to understand that it's when we can develop and really surrender into a solid spiritual foundation that everything in our material life will fall into place. But never in the history of time has it been, well, when everything in my material life falls into place, then I will be spiritually enlightened. Because if our focus is the material, it actually draws us away from who we truly are. So just something to think about, something to take with you and work with beyond the rubber mat. On that note, namaste.